Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation here at TestFlix. My name is Kimberly Snoyl and I would like to tell you about my application, the UX tester, and the presentation is called Mission Impossible Automatic Usability Testing. Well, first I would like to tell you about me. I'm Kimberly, I'm based in the Netherlands. I have a bachelor's in artificial intelligence. But during this bachelor's, I thought, hey, I'm not really fond of robots and data, but I would actually rather know more about the user, the person I'm making the application for, testing or designing an application for. So I have done a master's in interaction design, human media interaction, it was called, and I have been focusing on the user ever since. So afterwards, I started working as a software tester at Capgemini, and during my career as a software tester, I've been focusing on the user. So, for example, usability testing, accessibility testing, and actually even made a new field, UX testing. So, not doing usability testing in the traditional sense, but as a software tester. And I've been presenting about this topic since 2020. And I would like to share a new idea with you in this presentation, namely automatic usability testing. Well, this is how I came up with the idea. During my career as a tester, I have seen that the normal testers or other testers, because of course I have a background in interaction design, but other testers don't. So they don't really know a lot about usability, and we have been educated in a master class. Before you start testing, you learn how to test, but actually we don't learn a lot about usability testing or other UX techniques like accessibility testing, for example. Well, the testers don't really know how to test, so that's my premise number one. But also, they sometimes, of course, see that something is not very usable, user-friendly, and they go back to their team and they want to tell them, but they don't know how. You can't say, hey, this is a feeling I have, I don't like it, we should do it in another way. They don't know how. So it's hard for them to communicate why it is a problem. And also, if they do speak up, the findings are classified as nice to have. So eventually they're not picked up anyway. So testers and even I actually stopped caring about usability, or stopped bringing in those bugs, because eventually it will become nice to have and on the backlog and never picked up. So I asked an intern in 2020 to find out if this is correct, and if it would be possible to automate usability testing, because testers love automation. And of course, we have a lot to do in a sprint. We don't have a lot of time. So you see, agile testers are always in a time squeeze. There's not always UX expertise present, for example, on local projects or maybe on companies that they don't know the importance of usability or user experience. And they're focused on test automation a lot. So if we can help them by giving them a tool which can test whatever can be tested in usability automatically, we can inform them about things that cannot be tested automatically and which they should test manually. And this tool will inform them about how to do this. Okay, so this is an example of why usability findings are not always nice to have. Usability or other types of UX findings can be more important than only functionality, because you can have a functional application, all the requirements are met, but a user doesn't understand it. In this example, the user is from below and stakeholders see it from the side and say, hey, this looks great, it works great, but the user is like, what am I looking at? I don't understand this. And this can happen in an application as well. Users have trouble finding the thing they need to find, have trouble meeting their goals. So this is why it is very important to test for usability early in the stage, in the process. So how can you test UX in a structured way? This is an example of how you can test UX structured, because testers love structure. They love checklists. They love things that they can just do quickly and not really have to think about it very long. They also have different test techniques they use, and this is also a technique, a checklist. Well, can you test these 10 heuristics automatically? Well, we're going to do this very quickly because I only have 15 minutes for this talk, but it will give you an idea of that some heuristics can be tested automatically, but not all of them. Here you can see visibility of system status is a heuristic. When you click on a button on a website to load and you are waiting for data to load, you want to get feedback. So when you click on something and something is happening, you want to see that something is happening, and you don't want to wait like, okay, I clicked on the button, did it work? No, you want to see feedback, okay, it's processing and the data is coming. So this is something you can test, because a loader, a progress bar, a stepper, or a snack bar are all web elements with a name. And if the developers use this name or use a name on which you can identify the component, we can find it and we can identify it as such. You cannot always test the content. This is also the case for accessibility. For example, if a status is red or a status is green, you can see that it's red, but you don't know why, because you cannot really read, a program cannot read why it is red or why it is green. So for example, you can say, yeah, you've done a great job, go to the next page, but it's in red or it has a red icon. Yeah, you don't really know why, so you cannot read the text. So that's more difficult, I think. Match between system and real world. Well, these icons are things we know from the real world. For example, a magnifying glass, thumbs up, you know something is okay. A letter, you know that's an email or a new message. These are things we recognize from the real world. And usability, heuristics, Nielsen, one of the gurus of UX, he says use these icons when they are in the right way. So use the letter icon for a new message or a letter and not for something completely different. It's difficult to know if these icons are used in the right way. So I put a cross in here, but you can maybe it can if you can understand the context. If you see, hey, if we're talking about a home button because it's on the place where a home button should always be, we will see that in another heuristic, that home button should always be on the top left. Then you can see if it's called home or hamburger menu or menu, then you know it's in the right spot. So maybe for some icons we can say, we can know if it's correct. As I just mentioned in the previous slide, also colors are very difficult to see if it's correct, if it's used correctly. Jargon versus natural language. I think this is something that can be tested. In the Netherlands, we have a website which is called Is This B1? Because B1 is a kind of language that is simple and understandable for everyone. So if this website already exists and you know that some words are simpler and more clear for everyone than other words, we could use this website as an API in our application and also check words if they are simple enough and understandable for everyone. User control and freedom. Well, we can always check if there's an undo, redo, cancel or exit button. This is something you can also check if the naming is used as we expect. Consistent use of colors, headings. Well, this is also something you can test. As you can see in the pictures, you have buttons, a primary color, secondary colors, and even tertiary colors. If you have a naming convention for your button which is called primary button, you can check the styling, and you can also check the styling for other parts of your website where you have primary buttons. It should look the same. So these are some examples. Also what I already said, the home button in the top left, placing of the shopping cart in the top right. These are things you can test. Some things that are difficult to test is, again, the context. You can say 8 to 20 characters for your password, and at least one needs to be a capital letter. but you cannot see where if the validation is on the right input field. Or you can see if the validation is on the right input field, but you don't know what the text means in the validation. So it could also be your password does not comply to the standards, and this is not a good validation. It should be you have not used a capital letter yet. So that is difficult to find in code. Well, another example, numeric keyboard is of course something you can check. You want to, when you're in a numeric field, you should see the numeric keyboard. Real life icons is something we already discussed. Shortcuts for expert users. I actually had this gave this presentation internally at my client, and they said that the shortcuts is something you can find in the code, in the HTML. So I guess we can still figure this out and put this in our tool as well. Aesthetics and minimalist design. I actually also have via the EuroSTAR. I won the EuroSTAR idea, RisingSTAR, with this idea. And I was introduced to someone of the University of Malta, where they are actually researching if aesthetics can be checked automatically. So this is already being researched, and it's also something we hopefully could implement in our tool. Help users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. Well, this is a very clear example. When you're on a 404 page, you should not be you should not have a dead end. So there should always be a link getting you somewhere else, so you don't get stuck. And this is something, of course, you can check in the content of the page. Well, you can also check, of course, is there a FAQ section? Is there a step-by-step guide? Step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. This is a picture of something I have come across in my daily life, my own life. Solution 1, step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. Step 3, do this when troubleshooting. And this is really handy and very good UX. So a lot of things you can test, but not everything. There are some UX testing tools already out there, but they are not, as you can see in the lower part of this page, they are not testing the heuristics automatically, but a lot of them, actually all of them, are manual testing of heuristics. So I think our tool will be different and will make a real change in the world of not only testers but also business, because we want this tool to be accessible to everyone. So you can just put a link, the URL, on the page of this tool, and it will scan and crawl your page and find all if they comply to the heuristics. And of course, not all of them can be tested automatically. This tool should also give you, as you can see in number 5, it should give you tips and tricks of best practices on how to test usability manually as well. Because as we have seen in the premises, not all testers know how to test it manually. Well, sum up and key takeaways. So testers don't know a lot about how to test UX. They have a feeling that a product should be better in certain aspects, but they don't know how to communicate it to the team. With these heuristics, they have a list that can show their teammates why the finding is a real finding, because it does not apply to a certain heuristic. And if they do speak up, the UX findings are classified as nice to have, so they are set to the bottom of the backlog. But with these heuristics and these tools, they can say, hey, this is really important because it does not apply to this heuristic, and I have tested automatically really quickly, so they don't need a lot of time in their sprint to test these usability heuristics. So the solution is automatic usability testing to support the testers and also inform them about how to test usability, because not everything can be tested automatically. Well, I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and I'm looking forward to your questions and maybe also ideas for this tool. Thank you very much, and enjoy the conference. Bye-bye.